There we go. Hi, everyone. Good morning and good evening and good afternoon, depending where you're tuning in from. Hi, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. All right, here we go. Hi, I hope your June is off to a good start. My goodness, I can't believe it. We're all sorry, getting a spam call. Let me put do not disturb on there. But yeah, can't believe it. We're already in June. Gosh. Yeah. Whew. It's going very, very quickly. Let's see. So this weekend was, and this morning, I should say, bled over into this morning, has been just finding cuttings. And so, I actually did pick up a few cuttings. Oh, could you pass me those? I left it next to the bat. It's a ceramic bat, not a real bat. Just in case anyone's like a bat. Thanks, babe. I left them on the bookshelf by accident. Um, but yeah, I was like, it's the season. Tis the season for cuttings. So I definitely was perusing Facebook Marketplace. So with there being so many plant collectors actually in our area, I got really excited because I saw everybody started posting their cuttings, and I was like, all right, so let's see. So there was plenty of local people. One, I saw a lot of people putting up Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, which are also known as mini monstera, but they're not really monstera. Now they are related; they're in the same family, but they're not monstera. But you might see it referred to as mini monstera. You might also see a tag on it that says monstera ginny. It's like Ginny. But again, they're not true monstera, but they do look like it. And yeah, these cuttings, they were $3 each. So I was like, perfect. These grow very, very quickly. So happy to start one. I had one that I had gotten, I think it was like a week before lockdown, back in 2020, and I had it for several years, and it was taken out by the thrips, the last infestation that we had. And so I definitely wanted another one, but I didn't want to start with a really big one. I really wanted that satisfaction of starting it from when it was little. So I was like, let me see if anybody's posting up. And when I saw that people were posting them up, I got excited. I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to grab these. And she was only like 10 minutes away. So always a win. It's very, very local. But yeah, there are two nodes on this one. So I am going to cut and I'm going to start this one separately. And then have this one started. And I might have to, it is calloused already. So they were fresh cuts on Saturday. And so now you can see they have scabbed over. So they're calloused over. I like to let cuttings callus over. Some folks, and it's perfectly fine. They cut them and they immediately pop them into water or in the dirt because they're going to propagate them. I just like to let mine callus before doing so. Just it gives it a little bit more protection. So with an open wound, you're putting it in dirt. It could be already moist soil if you are putting several cuttings. If you're putting it in water as well, and maybe there was some debris, like some soil or something that might have gotten in, and then it's an open pathway for a potential pathogen. It could be a fungus, bacteria, anything like that. And so I just like letting it scab over so it has a little layer of protection at the very least. Now this part will end up rotting because this is where those roots are going to come out of. There are already some aerial roots here. Um, and so this is where the adventitious roots, which are going to be they're going to grow into the new like soil substrate roots. But all of this is not useful and will end up just rotting. if I put it into water just like that. So um, I will be doing another cut closer, maybe like here, and letting it callus, and then I'm gonna pop them into water. And then the same here. I'm gonna just give it like that much and pop it into water. But you can see why they call them mini monstera. They definitely have that look. They have these really cool fenestrations, but they're much more asymmetrical than what you would think of with a monstera. They're kind of like more whimsy. I don't know, but yeah. Oh, how do they get water if sealed off? Great question. So the goal for the propagation is to stimulate the roots to emerge from this spot. So they won't be sucking up water from here, but rather you're just trying to stimulate the growth of the roots here. And then once those roots start to come in, then it's able to uptake water. Um, yeah. Otherwise, yes, water can technically travel up into the tissues, but I think it's just missing that positive force, like to go completely through. But yeah, the goal will be to get those roots to emerge, and then that will take in the water, versus the water kind of saturating the tissues here. Um, but yeah, but right now, yeah, there's only aerial roots. I think in both cases there are aerial roots, but these are meant for sticking onto surfaces, so not meant for taking in water. Not at least at this stage, I should say. Um, so yeah, gonna get these put in in water soon. I'm gonna clip them and put them in water. And then yesterday, uh, two things. One, we had to make a grocery run, and I just thought this was so pretty, and so I picked it up. Um, Especially, I picked it one, the color. I love that the color, but it has a lot of broken leaves. So it looks like this poor thing went through some trauma during the shipping process. So when it got to the grocery store, it has a lot of broken leaves. So you can see here, there's a couple. There's here. These are snapped. Um, but a cool thing about African violets, um, so they will propagate through leaf cuttings. So I wasn't worried about the broken leaves. I was like, oh, well, wonderful. I can just pop that into water. So, um, yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. I just got it yesterday. I have everything by the bookcase, um, quarantining. And so for now, they're on my desk so that I can show you. But let me take off. Let me see here. Oh, so pretty. So really, really, really pretty African violet. Absolutely gorgeous. And there's some of those broken leaves, but we're gonna try to propagate them. Um, they're really, really easy to propagate. You can either pop them right into the soil, or you can pop them into like a little glass. Absolutely one of the easiest things to propagate. So it's a lot of fun too. And I just love their leaves. They're very velvety. If you've never felt an African violet leaf, it's just absolutely so soft to the touch. Gorgeous burgundy undersides. Um, for a while, variegated African violets were like booming. I know I had gotten a few back then. Um, they're really, really beautiful. And yeah, I'm excited. I saw it and I was like, I really want it. And especially when I saw how damaged it was, I said, oh, nobody's gonna pick this one up. So I said, let me bring it home. I can propagate those leaves and give it some more comfort than it was obviously getting. Pretty bad shape. And then there was another seller who was also um, doing cuttings. And so I'll show you what these are. Oh, in the background too, I had completely forgot to show you guys this last week. We've had this quarantining. So right now I moved it here. It's not going to live here because it's dry right now. So it's okay that it's on my books here. Just giving it some more direct light. As you the window's right over there. So it's getting a little bit more direct light because it was quarantining across the room. So it was getting more of like a bright indirect. But that is a philodendron bilete, and I know that there's a different pronunciation, bilete, bilete. So everyone, the majority of people call it bilete. But but I know that the person who came up with the name corrected everyone on YouTube like a year ago and said what it was, and I can't remember it. So I'm sorry. So if you don't know it as bilete, I'm sorry. I know I'm saying it the way that a lot of people say. Kind of one of those things like calanchoes and calancho. So it where folks just it's either or. I know my botanical Latin teacher is probably, screaming somewhere. Um the same with like it's caparatas instead of like peperomia caparatas. Everybody calls them caparatas, but my botanical Latin teacher said it's caparata. So I try to remember that, but it does slip and I end up saying caparata. So sorry in advance. But this guy is a gorgeous philodendron bilete. This is the newest leaf. Look at the size of that. Absolutely gorgeous. Right now it's just in sphagnum. Just in sphagnum. The roots look absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, this is one of the older leaves. It has some damage here. It looks like this leaf got clipped. So that bottom part of the leaf is starting to die off. But this does look like it's one of the older leaves. That's fine. That's totally fine. But oh, look at that. I think this is the biggest leaf, and it's just absolutely ginormous. It's so beautiful. It has some healed damage on here, but of all the ones that were at the shop, this was from NYC Succulent. They were having a sale and they were selling these large billet for only 30 bucks. And I and Brian looked at that and said, we need to grab one. So so we grabbed them. I still remember when I got my first billet, and it was $55 for a 2-inch pot, and it had two leaves on it. It was a little thing, and I could not keep up with the watering. It did very poorly. Hello, sorry, just barged on my chair. Hello, hi. Um, yeah, and I was so upset about that, but here is this huge one. And they were acclimating at his store for a few weeks. So the transition has been pretty great. So there really hasn't been much change other than the yellowing of the bottom part. This leaf was already getting a little splotchy, but it's been doing really wonderfully. And this leaf had just emerged, so it's been hardening really nicely. And yeah, no, oh, hello, kale. Okay. But yeah, so far so good. It's really a gorgeous philodendron. Make sure I balance this correctly. Okay, I don't want any flopping off to the side. Um, and then these cuttings here. So this was also a local seller, also within 10 minutes away. So that was wonderful. Um, and so these are two different types of syngonium. And I haven't had an albo in a few years, so excited about that. But this is the Syngonium albo, also known Syngonium are known as the arrowhead vines. So they grow very much cascading. You can pole them, so you can have them growing kind of like pothos. If you have, you put a little moss pole and Yeah, the leaves do change shape as well as they mature. Uh, but but for now, when they're smaller, they retain this arrowhead shape. So I love it. It kind of looks like bunny ears. I've always loved the syngonium shape. But this is a gorgeous example of the elbow variegation. Really, really beautiful. Love it. It's like that half moon with a bunch of splotches, with that crossover here of some white. So really beautiful, hoping that it's going to give us some really uh, picturesque type of leaves. This is another type of syngonium, also right here. But this is the Syngonium batik. So it's Batik, batik. And so I haven't had this one before. So I love the veining. I absolutely love the veining on this. Really, really beautiful. So yeah, excited to propagate these. So they're in a damp paper towel and they're also fresh cuts. Fresh, fresh, fresh. And then I got a bunch of these. So they are all philodendron Brazil. So this is philodendron hetericium, I believe so. So these are all a heartleaf philodendron that has the variegation that's known as Brazil. So she gave me a couple cuts here, all different sizes. So there's this little one. This one has some really pretty variegation. I have a Brazil that I've been water propagating for a while now, that's been giving me much more neon leaves, but they're always a joy. So if I see somebody selling them, especially for $1 a cutting, I I said, why not? Why not? Just grab a couple. So I said, yeah, I'll just take a couple of the the Hartley philodendron cuttings because I'm more than happy, and I don't mind. So this one's the green one. So you can see why they're called heart leaf. Really, really beautiful. These are really, really pretty. So I'm not sure if I might cut them a little bit more, to kind of put several little propagations. I was considering that, just to kind of get a couple little spots, around the house with some new growth there. But this is a bigger cutting here of the Brazil. Just love it. It looks like it was painted on. So beautiful. I just love also how varied it is. It's not like just half moons or just the line in the middle, the variegation in the middle, which is very typical in the variegated Hartley philodendrons. I do want to get the Gabby. I do definitely want to get that one. But it it got really popular. It was really expensive. Then tank the price tanked. So it was like really inexpensive. And then now it's very expensive again. So um I don't know what happened there. I need to research what it is that happened there. Something similar happened with the Hoya linearis. So it's coming on, I think, almost a year now that I've had my Hoya linearis. I bought the entire pot for only $30, and it's a hanging pot, and it's been doing wonderfully. I haven't lost any section, um, and it's been doing great. I have it in a western window that is obstructed, so it's getting western light, but not full straight on. And so it's a nice consistent light supply. It's in my kitchen, and so it's getting a nice amount of humidity. The kitchen doesn't really drop from like I think the lowest the kitchen ever gets is like 40, 45% humidity. Um, One, because we're always cooking in there, but also we already have a lot of plant propagations, and I do like to put like a pot on to bring up the humidity in that room. So um, yeah, it's a nice consistent type of temperature. Even throughout the winter, this thing was giving me growth. So it's super happy. And again, I got it for 30 bucks. I got the whole hanging pot. Also at NYC Succulents, actually, I got it from that seller as well that we got this billet from. And she's been doing wonderfully. And I started seeing now that people are posting up on like Facebook Marketplace and stuff, little 2-inch pots for $25. And the hanging pots that I have, like that same size, are now back up to 65, $70. And I hadn't seen, the reason I bought the pot was it had dropped. It had dropped and it was 30 bucks. And I said, I really want, I've always tried little ones without success. And so I was like, I want a pot. I think that's what I want to do. I just want to go for the pot. And it was such a great price. I said, why not? And yeah, it's, I did not realize how much the price is skyrocketed again. So it's really interesting what's going on with plant pricing. We've been seeing like a really consistent ebb and flow. Uh, but what's so odd is I'm starting to see some plants that are being priced like pandemic pricing. So back, 2020, like before when I was already doing like plant auctions and things like that, 2015, 2016, there were some things that were kind of expensive, but things, you could get a cool plant, like maybe, 20, 30 bucks. And then COVID, and then of course, that big boom. And I think everybody got more interested because a lot of people were stuck at home, and this was something, really nice to engage with. And the prices skyrocketed, and there were plants going for hundreds of dollars. And that has been steadily on the decline. And yeah, from like 2022, 2023 to now, a lot of things are so much more accessible. Like people are literally selling like pink princesses, a 4-inch pot for like 10, 15 bucks when they used to be 100. I remember we got our first pink princess was almost $100. And that was in 2020. Um, and so, yeah, it's just odd now how everything is kind of going back up. So, so just be aware of that if you're going to be buying plants online, that the prices have actually gone up. And for things that I felt were much more common, um, and then things like the Spirit of Sanctity, philodendrons, I feel like they are so much more accessible now. People can actually buy one, um, realistically. When before they were like $1,000, now you can probably get them for, it's still expensive. It's like 100, maybe $100, 120, something like that. So it's still expensive, but I mean, compared to $1,000, much more accessible. Uh, but yeah, it's just odd. So I'm not sure what's going on there. If there's, I know that there were some issues for like monsteras. There were definitely issues in terms of them not growing as quickly or not propagating as well as expected. So that kept the prices kind of up for the like the ties and things like that. Um, but I'm not sure if maybe there's disease or something that is afflicting a lot of nurseries. If anybody knows, let me know. Because I've just been wondering what's going on with some of these plants because Hoya linearis, I really didn't think was that rare anymore. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. And then the last one is this really just green, and it has a new growth. It might drop that leaf. Oh, it looks like there's actually two new leaves coming in. This leaf is going to be close to unfurling, and this one just started growing, so probably another week or so. But yeah. Oh, and what is a pink princess? Oh, I'll show you. Yeah, so a pink princess is a type of philodendron. I believe it's Philodendron erubescens, I think is the scientific name. But it's a variegated one. And so let me, bum, bum, bum. Let me show you what that is. So, really beautiful and Philodendron pink princess. So really, really pretty. Here we go. That is, oh, that's, yeah, I was like, that is a caladium. I guess they're also using the name Pink Princess for other things. Um, but here we go. So you can really see absolutely gorgeous. So when the leaf first emerges, it's a really, really vibrant pink color. As the leaf matures, that pink can go down, and it will remain on some of the leaves, particularly the leaves that have the white. That pink will be a little bit more pronounced. It will have like a blush to it. There are some cultivars of this that really do get like a really hot pink to them that lasts. Oh, I think I froze. Oh, there we go. That lasts a little bit longer. But as the leaf, oh, let me see if I'm connected to, I'm going to connect to the 5G. There we go. Hmm, there we go. All right, sorry. I connected to the 5G. I was connected to my regular network. Um, so I just tried the 5G. So hopefully, here we go. There we go. That was weird. So it looks like it's okay now, but let's see. I'm not sure why it was freezing. But yeah, so once these leaves mature, as I said, so they do lose that vibrancy, though they will keep some of that blush, and really, really beautiful. But there are some that you can get that are just really, really pink, and they hold on to that pink for a little bit longer. But Um, yeah, no, it's really gorgeous. A lot of people had really bad experiences because so this isn't an example of a stable variegation. This is a very unstable variegation. And so these do have the tendency to revert. So basically, they will start putting out green leaves, and then that's it. They basically just continue putting out green leaves, and you end up with a a still beautiful philodendron, but it's just lacking the characteristics that you purchased the plant for. And so this was, um, a lot of folks who were purchasing them didn't realize that they there is a percentage that they might revert. One that got very popular also during COVID, but was much more, I think, uh, oh, whoop, thank you. Um, sorry. Jules just tipped over a box. Um, and so uh one that was I think more malicious on the part of the sellers, because they just weren't disclosing. Um, it was the box. Yeah, it was Jules passed by and he I don't know, he must have like tapped it. I just saw him like next to it and then it tipped over. Um, but here we go. Is the philodendron pink Congo. So I will show you that one and explain what was going on there. So this is the pink Congo, also gorgeous pink, right? So a lot of people wanted these, uh, rightly so. It's a really pretty plant. But the problem is that this is basically just as the new leaf emerges. This was being done because the leaves were uh, coming out with like no chlorophyll, essentially. They were just with this really gorgeous blush, and this was being done by uh, like supplementation of the water supply. So they were putting chemicals in the water that would keep the chlorophyll from emerging on the new growth. And so the older leaves will have this really dark, beautiful jade green color, and the new leaves would it'd be pink. I think this was also done in some nurseries with different types of gas as well, but essentially it was all chemically induced. And so as once the people purchase the plant or you bring it home, you were no longer supplying it with those chemicals. So those pink leaves down the line, they start to revert and they start to turn. Now they start to produce chlorophyll, and they would turn really dark green, and it would no longer be pink. And so a lot of people felt that they had been misled, of course, because the sellers did not disclose it initially. So there was a big uproar. People were, calling people scammers. It was a big, big, big drama in the plant world. And now, when sellers do sell pink Congo, they have to disclose that it is going to change color, and that it doesn't stay pink forever. That will change as the leaves mature. They will turn green again. Um, so yeah, uh, very unfortunate. But this was a big thing. There's so many YouTube videos about it. It's pretty nuts. Um, wow, yeah. So Tanya is saying that Trader Joe's, did it had them? It had the pink princesses. Is that one the ones for 10.99? And so these used to
Yes.
be, holy moly,
Yeah.
Tanya.
All last week, everyone was posting it.
Yeah, like it's crazy. And if you look back, like 2020, I mean, people were selling these. Literally, I bought mine for $100. And it wasn't even like, I think it was a 2.5, 3 inch pot at the time. This thing was a little thing. I'll show you even what a 2.5 inch pot looks like so that you guys have context how tiny this thing was. But and now, yeah, you're seeing them sold so cheaply now. They're at Trader Joe's. they're they're now in like grocery stores. So that's how much they've dropped. Um, they do, Holly, a lot of the philodendrons. Well, because a lot of them are the same one. So a lot of them are philodendron iridescens. Um, and it's just a bunch of cultivars. So like the Dark Lord, the Congo, the pink Congo, the pink princess. I even think the Birkin, the philodendron Birkin, which is really nice. Let me see here, philodendron Birkin. For those that don't know the Birkin, this one. So it has this white variegation, this white veining variegation. Very, very pretty. Brian loves these. Absolutely loves the Birkins. They're beautiful. A lot of these are indeed the same plant, and so they are the same species. They have just been cultivated and kind of had these different mutations isolated, and then they're given cool names. And people, yeah, yeah, and of course we go and purchase them. But in the end, they do look very similar in terms of like structure, and if they revert, if they go back. So for instance here, reverted, there we go. So you can even see that the mutation also affects the leaf shape. So that variegated kind of growth, you see it kind of gives it more of like a stubbed kind of heart shape, in comparison to as the leaves start to revert back to their normal state. um, they elongate, and you actually see what, regular philodendron arabescens leaves, not just in color but also in structure. So here is an example. Here you could see that this leaf is partially reverting back. I always love to see how reversion starts to happen in a lot of these. I really find it super interesting, and you start to get those signs, right, that the plant is starting to revert back, and then you get some really spectacular leaf formations like these. You get leaves that otherwise they're just wouldn't exist. They're just super striking. Um, there is one at that shop, NYC Succulents, and he has it in a corner in the shop, and it's a Birkin that started reverting. And he has it just growing like that, and it has some Birkin leaves, and it has some reverted and partially reverted leaves, and it's just an interesting plant to look at. So for folks, if you buy a plant and it starts reverting, I would say, embrace it. I know it might suck, especially if you purchase it for a lot of money. So you're like, wait, that was a lot. But keep that in mind that for these types of plants that have unstable variegation, these are unstable mutations, there is always a chance. So, um, things you can do to keep things from reverting. Sometimes if it's a plant that has like a lot of variegation, is making sure that it's getting a lot of sunlight. Because one reason that plants might start reverting is that it has a lot of white. You're putting it in a space that doesn't actually have enough light for it, and it needs to produce its food. So it starts to pump its leaves full of chlorophyll, which in turn starts to turn the leaves green. Um, and then eventually, that mutation basically it no longer serves the plant is like, okay, let's veto this. um, it just starts to push out more green growth because that's more efficient versus the mutated growth. Um, so yeah, sometimes if you give them just really ample light, it keeps that variegation going. There are also so many hacks I've seen online. I haven't tried, but I think some nurseries, like for the epiprenums, the albos and stuff, that they try adding phosphorus to their mixes. Um, so there's, different nurseries swear by different methodologies, but I know I've heard that of putting like phosphorus into their, like more phosphorus into their mixes, and that helps their plants retain that white kind of growth. And I don't know. It wasn't like, it's more anecdotal, so it's not a scientific study. Um, but yeah, I have heard of folks just, different nurseries just doing different things like that, where they mess with the nutrients, they, mess with in terms of adjust like the light parameters and things like that to try to get um, that growth to continue. So, I mean, it can happen. So, where you can keep it right for years, and it's going to be producing all that mutated growth, which is awesome. One thing you can do is if you have a plant and it is a plant you could propagate by cuttings, and it starts to push out the reverted growth. So let's say Syngonium albo starts to produce green leaves. You can cut those green leaves off. You can cut them off and try to go back down to the node that had the last leaf that really had that variegation, to try to trigger that leaf to now push out more growth. And it can be variegated. So some people just chop and hope for the best. So you can do that. You absolutely can do that. Um, and oh, Holly, are they even worth $100? I guess it depends, right, on the on the person. Back then, I mean, when you're building a collection, and I mean, I think, I don't know. COVID was when I was already into houseplants and I already had been collecting houseplants, but my collection grew like 3 times, I think, during COVID. I think the most plants I had was 100 even before COVID. And then once COVID hit, I don't know. I mean, you're home. I think of the interest, and then everybody, it's like, oh, what's the hottest plant? And then you really end up wanting it. Um, so yeah, so for someone who really wants it, I guess, yeah, 100 seems like a reasonable price. But yeah, no, of course that's not always reasonable, right? But for some folks, yeah, sure, they really think so. In terms of an investment though, um, I would not say that it would be a good investment to purchase something that um has a high probability of reverting, for instance. So um something that you think is going to be able to push out more consistent growth, I think that would be a better investment if you're worried about that. Because yeah, if you, let's say, were to have spent $100 on a pink princess and then it ends up turning green, that definitely yeah, very unhappy, very very unhappy. Suzanne, I wonder if the soil acidity influences color. Oh yeah, soil acidity definitely influences color. I'm not sure in terms of philodendrons how that would affect color. Um, but I know acidity can affect even, especially like flower color. I know that even like violets, for instance, violets will change, will showcase kind of different colors in response to either alkaline or acidic substrate. And so they're really good indicator species. I think also hydrangea as well, that they're very good indicator species that they'll if you had them one color one season and then maybe you added mulch or something that made it a little bit more acidic, like a pine or some type of conifer, it tends to make it more acidic. I believe, yeah, I think I got that right. I was like, I hope I'm not misremembering that. I believe it makes it more acidic, and then that can end up changing the color of your hydrangeas when they bloom the following season. So it's a very, very neat thing. But yes, I mean, the soil acidity will definitely affect um, even things like minerals, like the nutrition basically of your plant will affect color. Um, and yeah, yeah. So definitely, absolutely. Um, oh, great question, George. So he says 40-ish humidity in the kitchen, and if I know if it's relative humidity or absolute humidity. I mean, I would say it's more relative humidity. And so, I mean, here in our household, um, yeah, there's no way to keep any consistency throughout the entire apartment. So, yeah, not sure. Absolute humidity. I would have to look at the differences there, but I think it's relative humidity. Let's see, relative versus absolute humidity. Here we go. Ah, actual water content. The percent and absolute is less common. It's the actual amount of water vapor in the air. Yes. So, I think the gauges that I'm using, I believe, are for relative humidity. So I think it's indicating, yeah. water content? Hmm. That's a great question. I think so. I would think it's relative humidity. Actually, I'll have to look more into that so that I can accurately answer your question. But no, I haven't explored this. So sorry about that. Oh, Holly. No, no, that little one that I purchased, that was I learned that that made me learn the hard way. You really don't want to buy super tiny plants. Um, yeah, I made that mistake a couple times in like 2020, 2021 of buying very tiny philodendrons. So I ended up learning the hard way. Um, I have since, we have bought small philodendrons since, but we've changed. Now we have a cabinet and all that. But back then I didn't have a cabinet, and it was just really hard for me to keep up with them. So that little pink princess, no, no, that one unfortunately did not survive. This I think it rotted out. That one rotted out. And then with that little billet I had, it dried out. So unfortunately. Um, oh, my aloe is hanging over the pot. Is there a solution or logic for that? Yeah, I mean in terms of the way that they're going to kind of grow like that really depends on the type of aloe that you have. So there are I think it's aloe erubescens. Not air, is it erubescence or or decuescent? Basically, like what they call it, like a tree aloe. So there are some aloes that will kind of grow that way. They basically have a very long kind of uh, stem, basically, and they end up kind of vining. They kind of grow in this kind of cascading kind of way. Um, Now, if that's just not what you want, Uh, you could try to either put it into a different pot and kind of keep it more upright. You can kind of add two stakes kind of on each side to kind of get it to grow upwards. So you kind of set it up so that the next growth will just continue growing upward if you really don't want it to hang over the pot. Um, Hanging over the pot usually is pretty fine. I mean, it's fine for the plant. You just want to make sure that there's a lot of airflow and that there's no water getting stuck between the rim of the pot itself and the leaves, because that can elicit a perfect little pocket there for rot. Because it's being there's a lot of pressure, so there's really um, it's a great place for rot to start. So I would just say to kind of watch it if you do want to kind of just keep it like that. But if you do want to rectify it, you can do it by kind of just repotting it. If you want to try the same pot, if it doesn't need an upgrade, you can try to repot it, but then just like position it in a way more to your liking, and then maybe provide like a stake or something like that for it to kind of start growing a little bit more upward. Um, but as they get taller, they tend to get more top heavy, and it just kind of naturally does that, unfortunately. So, but yeah, it really depends on the type of aloe, but some of them just happen to kind of grow like that. And reasons why, I mean, it's again top heavy. And sometimes it's also, they might put out a lot of smaller leaves, but more elongated. And so that is usually a sign of etiolation. So they're stretching, it's kind of stretching itself because it wants to get to a better light situation. So that's another potential reason as well. Um, oh, George, I just saw your other message. If I have an update, no update. with the previous platform. Um, and as far as I know, I mean, I'm hoping they stop uh, selling my content. And so um, one can only hope. I don't know. I really haven't. I mean, I haven't heard anything. I was, for a while, I had a lot of people reaching out telling me, "Oh, I saw, that my classes and things were still being advertised and were still being like replays were still being streamed and things like that." But no, right now it's just it's me with my own platform. Um, and yeah, moving forward, if I'm ever partnering with different organizations and things like that, I just make sure that I am making, an effort to just ensure that my content remains my content. And so, yeah, I am actually, hopefully, I have to get in contact with them with my proposals. But like, for instance, with the University of New Mexico, so I might be doing some classes with them and hopefully in the fall maybe. And what I love is that I can create my curriculums, I can teach my classes, and my content is mine. So no one can just take it and then repackage it and sell it and things like that. So it remains like my intellectual property. So yeah, the, that's what I'm doing moving forward is making sure that I always make sure that that's the agreement. Yeah. Um, how do you stake it well? Oh, it's a light problem. I need to learn how to buy the right plants. Yeah. Um, yeah. So if it's a light problem, and that's like if you already have it by a window, and that's like the best exposure that you already have in the house. If you have it in a northern or eastern exposure, you might have to then move it to a western or southern exposure. If it's a southern exposure, you don't want it right up against the glass. But if it's obstructed, so if there's like a building in front of you, something like that, then it should be safe enough. But if you have like a clear view of the sky and it's southern light, it might be a little bit too strong, so you would have to pull it back. Here, like for instance, we have some western windows, but it's a courtyard, so there's like our building has like a donut in the middle. And so you're seeing a white wall across the way. So you're not getting like straight on, light, um, all throughout the entire day. So, it's much less of a risk of burning. So if that type of situation where it's not full on, like right in your pathway, then a Western window would be perfectly fine. So if you can't move it to a better exposure, then yeah, grow light would probably be the only option. Um, if if you like the look of an aloe, but something that would probably needs, less light, in terms of it might, still do okay with a little bit lower light. I would say something like a Haworthia. Haworthia has a similar look. Um, that might be an option. Um, yeah, if you're wanting like a succulent that that would not do that basically. Now there are some Haworthias that will grow that way, so just stay away from those species that like to cascade. Um, but for those that like the zebras and stuff like that, that if they're getting a nice amount of light like that, yeah. Southeast, okay. It isn't strong, but it's constant when it's not rainy. Southeast, okay. Yeah, then I mean, yeah, southeast you're getting nice consistent light and you're getting a lot of the morning light too. Um, and it should be okay for the aloe. Um, maybe if you just yeah, once you stake it. So to stake the aloe, again, you want to move it either in the same pot or a slightly larger pot. and try to kind of center it. So when you repot it, you can just center it, and then you can get. I mean, you could use something as like the bamboo poles. They sell them at like Home Depot and Lowe's. You could try that. There are also trying to think of something that won't rot. Bamboo is probably your best bet. But there also might be plastic stakes or things that you would be able to also get at Home Depot instead. So a plastic, just, so that you don't risk potential rotting. So you can kind of set it up in the middle, and then you can use kind of like I would say to use the plant tape that is more of like a Velcro versus cord. So like using wires or string or twine, that can cause a lot more damage to the plant. So if you use plant tape, it's really like a really soft Velcro, and it's strong enough to hold your plant in place, but won't cause like the friction damage that you can see with thinner materials. And it's so heavy. Yeah, not like a philodendron. Yeah. It might end up being a two-person if it's that large. And yeah, they strips of cloth, depending on if you kind of keep them more flattened. So I would say if you ever use strips of cloth, like you want to use an old t-shirt or something like an old some people use pantyhose, but you just want to keep the pieces kind of as flat as possible and not kind of twist them where it's more of like rope like. You kind of want more of like a belt like. I'm gonna say like that, like flat like a belt versus twisted up and kind of made into like a rope, because that will start to dig right into the stem, especially if it's holding it up, and the plant starts growing. It starts to cause like repeated damage, friction, and can open up a wound, and then that can cause rot, can cause like help bacteria get in there. So just don't, if you want to use strips of cloth, that's totally a great idea, but just try to use them like flat. So have like flat pieces versus making them super thin like rope. Just because, yeah, you just want to avoid that potential damage there. I would say that. And the pot has to be made of something sturdy. Yeah, so maybe terracotta if that's an option. Um, Terracotta is pretty sturdy. Depending on the plastic pot, the nursery pot, I would say probably not getting a nursery pot that's rounded at the bottom, but maybe one that's just more sturdy. Like, kind of like the bottom looks more like a bucket. It's like perfectly round, versus one that kind of tapers at the bottom, because that is going to shift much more readily with the weight. I wouldn't necessarily recommend something like ceramic with an aloe. It's going to retain water for longer periods of time, and that ups the possibility that you might end up rotting it out at the base. So I would say to stay away from ceramic in that case. Um, but yeah, if you can find a nursery pot that's a nice rounded size. Trying to think if I have an example. I don't know if I have an example here. Um, but yeah, just one that doesn't kind of taper at the end. Um, Sometimes there are places that you can buy nursery pots that are square. So that's actually what I was going to show you guys. Oops, I forgot. So this is perfect. But yeah, where it's more of a square. So these nursery pots that are more of a square, these also, they sell them in bigger sizes as well. Usually you can get them at like Home Depot and things. So you might find um, the nursery pots, not only the round ones, but you might be able to find the squares. So that might even work a little bit better in terms of the weight distribution. It's just a much more solid foundation is having it as a square shape. And then these I actually purchased. These are 2.5, so 2.5 inches. and a lot of drainage holes. So what I love is that it's even like a little tilt here, and all throughout. So a lot of aeration. So there are a couple plants that one I need to pot up, and two I bought a 30 pack. So it's just a 30 pack. Uh, and I think it was like $10, it was like 9.99, something like that. So not bad. Uh, but there are a couple plants that I need to repot. So for instance, so I have this Euphorbia obesa that I got I think summer of last year, and it has a little baby here. But the substrate one isn't great. I let it acclimate. It was pest free, so I moved it with my other succulents. But I always knew I need to change it. But then winter came, and I really didn't want to repot it and have it go into shock during winter. So I kept putting it off, and now I'm like, okay, I need to repot a couple of my plants. Uh, but I'm not going up very big in size. So you could see it already fits like like this. It fits inside, but you could just see this. It's a slight difference. But you can see this is an example where it starts to taper, so it gets thinner. But this is there is like a slight taper, but it's a little bit more consistent. So it is going to give it a little bit more room to spread out, and I can change the substrate. It's also starting to get roots that come out from the bottom, which is usually a good sign that you need to upgrade. And so I'm doing a very, very small upgrade for these guys. So there's like three or four plants that are this size, and then the rest are going to be a lot of cutting. And I also picked up these. I just thought they were too adorable. So I wanted to grab them for some of my smaller propagations. Um, these are terracotta, but they're already white terracotta. Um, so and these are 2-inch pots, so smaller, but for just little smaller little succulent. Um, so yeah, where can we get these? These were on Amazon. So I can share the link. I think they were, I want to say 8.99. I want to say 8.99. I think that's how much it was, and I think it's is it a 10? I think it's 10. So you get less because of course they're terracotta, but yeah, 8.99, and I think it's 10. Oh no, it's 12. 12, 12. Let me post that in the chat. So 8.99 and you get 12 of them. And so there are some little little succulents that I'd like to put in their own little pots. And I was trying to get more tiny succulent pots, and I saw these white ones, and I thought this would be too adorable. So I decided I have a couple of these, and I said, oh well, I could paint them. But then I was like, you know what? It would probably just be easier to buy these. So yeah, 8.99 for 12 of them. I dropped it in the chat. And that brings the last plants that I picked up were actually this morning. So I they were the person was about 20 minutes from my doctor's appointment. And so I was like, hey, I will go pick them up. So she was cleaning up her plants, kind of doing cutting, removing babies, and she filled up a little box here and said $10, $10 for all of it. And as soon as I saw the donkey tails, I was okay, I like I need this. I need this. So if you've been here before, you know, I really like donkey tails, and I had been mentioning how even in the cuttings that I ordered some like mystery cuttings from eBay. They came with like a donkey tail, and which are very cool. But it was like a single donkey tail, and I said that I really wanted like a pot of donkey tail. It's a type of sedum, or you also hear them called burro's tail. And so I really, really wanted one, but they don't ship well. So even though sometimes I find them super cheap, they really do not ship well. You receive it, and the majority of them are just broken. Um, and I don't really see them around here in like Home Depot, you know, in shops. I either see them in shops and they're pretty high priced, where I'm like, okay, I don't really want to spend that much on that, or they're just not available. And so I'm not sure if people are just snatching them up. And so that could be it. They are very cute. But what I'm so happy about is there are so many in here that I'm going to be making a little pot just full of them. And so I will be closer to my dream of having a hanging one. Um, but this is what she gave me for $10, and it's heavy. $10. So I wanted to show you what was in here. So there's a bunch of burro's tail, a bunch of it. So I'm going to be putting all of these in the same pot. Now, a lot of these already have roots as well. So I'm just going to put them directly into substrate. So you can already see there's already roots on here. So these are going directly into substrate. And then these I haven't seen in a little while, but she gave me quite a few, which are Echeveria, but they're called topsy-turvies. And so I haven't seen these in a little bit. So it's cool to see. And so she had them growing, did several of them, uh, just in her pot. So she pulled a bunch of them. These have roots here. There's some dried leaves at the bottom. That's fine. I can just remove that. But a lot of them have roots. So there's a lot of topsy-turvy in here. So it's like a very curly, wavy, um, kind of looking Echeveria here. Here we go. This one also has roots. So super cool looking. So that, and then I think there's really, it's a lot, but there's only like three types. And so that topsy-turvy Echeveria, and then this seems to be a different type of Echeveria as well. Also, look at that, a bunch of roots. So all of these are ready to go in mix. This one's slightly etiolated, so it's a little stretched, but that's fine. Um, I don't mind at all. It still looks super, super pretty, but there's more of that. This one's much more of a rosette here. And again, roots. So yeah, she was just cleaning up her plants and said, "Hey, who wants uh who wants these for $10?" So yeah, I definitely jumped at that chance because I was like, she is right by my doctor's appointment, and I can make it there and make it back home. So a bunch is in there. So I'm excited. I even have everything ready on my desk. So I have this was my succulent mix. It's already ready to go. So this is my succulent mix here. You can see there's a lot of perlite. There is some lava stone. There's some crushed leca. There's some regular leca. Um, there is some horticultural charcoal in there. Um, so a little bit, very, very chunky mix, as you can see. It's a little bit of everything in there. But I also have some things here for supplementary in case I needed a little bit more perlite or anything. So I love using these. These are cereal bins. So I love using these for my plant materials. So all of my soil aggregates, I just have them in these. It preserves them. It makes it just super easy to store as well, because I can just keep everything nice and lined up. They're clear. I can see what's in them. And also, if you wanted to, there's this one's been, I don't think I've ever opened this one from here. So now it doesn't want to open. There we go. I was like, I don't think I've ever opened it like this for my perlite, but yeah, so you have that option as well, and love it, love it, love it, love it. Um, yes, yes, George, yes, I did have a class. I believe it is available in my replays. I have to go through my replays, and I'm gonna make sure that they're all properly labeled so that folks can go back. But I am planning actually to do an updated class on mixes. And so yeah, so I was already working on that. Maybe I'll do that next week if folks are interested. I'll do that next week maybe. Yeah, I'll do the class on mixes. Um, because yeah, there's some updates, there's like new things, new products and things that I've been playing around with. Um, and so I definitely want to do like an updated class to also introduce folks to that. Um, oh wow, Echeveria setosa, $10 for a gallon. I was trying to figure out how to grow this fuzzy guy. And do you need a grow light to grow Echeverias indoors? Great question. So yes and no. It's a double one. So no, in terms that they will grow even, if you had them in uh like, bright indirect light, they would technically be growing, but they would get very idiolated. It will not maintain that really pretty rosette type of growth. So they would technically grow, but it just they would lose that shape that you might have wanted in the first place. So if you do want to maintain that really nice, consistent rosette growth, then yes, I would recommend a grow light if you don't have an exposure. I mean, even if you have a pretty good exposure with echeverias, if I don't have them under grow lights, they idiolate. There's just like no way to get around it. Um, they will just idiolate. So they'll stretch. And then they no longer look like yeah, they no longer look like the echeverias. There is an example here of one that is in here that's super idiolated. And so this is an echeveria, but as you can see, it starts to stretch. So personally, I don't mind. I mean, of course I appreciate the rosettes. I'd like to keep them. But if I, go and purchase a plant and I see, that there are some idiolated, um, that's fine. If you're like, I don't want this, what you can do is you can actually cut like right here at the top here and do a crown cutting and then kind of restart it under a grow light so it stays consistent. But the old growth that grows like this, like, so let's say even if you were to cut this little crown on top, this would still pretty basically be growing, but in a stretched out manner. So I would say grow light, and you want a grow light that is about a foot away, like so within a foot away of the plant. And you're gonna want to make one that's like right over it if you have a gallon. Like if you have a nice kind of pot already ready to go, make sure the light is right overhead. And again, within that 12 inches. That's just going to kind of keep that growth and consistent for you, and keep them coming in as those rosettes, versus starting to stretch, because they start kind of looking for the light. They want to get better closer to the light, and then this is what starts to cause that stretched out growth. So I would say that, um, and get a full spectrum as well. So If you get something like a blue wave light, that's usually more for like seedlings, and it tends to kind of push growth. Um, but it's still really gentle, and so some plants will indeed start to etiolate. The red wavelength, it's more triggering for like flowering and fruiting and things like that. So you want like a nice full spectrum light, well-rounded light, is gonna be best. Royd asks, I have south and west facing windowsills. My succulents lose their lower leaves, and my African violets go bleached. What can I do as I live in a flat? Okay, great question. Um, Yes, in terms of losing their lower leaves, so that could mean a couple things. One, it could mean that there is such a strong light that they are drying out faster than they are being replenished with water. So this is in terms of the succulents. And so they will start to kind of drop those leaves towards the bottom, because it's just kind of uh, added energy that they're expending, keeping those leaves alive, and sometimes they need that moisture. So that moisture is kind of redirected. That energy is redirected to the plant itself, and the bottom leaves will shrivel up and just go. So that's sometimes can happen. Um, in terms of so I would say to remedy that, um, consider looking at how often you're watering that plant. You might want to increase the frequency, but not dramatically. So don't go from, oh, I water it every 14 days and I'm going to water it every 7. So not like that, but more so maybe go down to like 10 days. Let's say this is an example, of course, but something like that where it's just a couple days sooner than you usually would, and make sure that you're giving it a nice soak. So you're really watering that plant deeply, and then and just to see if the plant starts to now push out new growth and starts to do a little bit better. So just kind of a change, but in the frequency, but just not very abrupt like that. So a little bit sooner than you would. So maybe if you were like, let's say 14 days again, like 10 days, um, and see if it starts to remedy that. In terms of your African violet, if it's getting bleached, that just means it's way too strong light. So yeah, south and west for an African violet can be pretty substantial. Um, I would say a Western exposure would probably be better in that regard, but you would have to either, if you're home around golden hour, which is like 5 or 6 p.m., like between 5 and 6, you can pull the plant away. But if you're not consistently home like that, you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna move the plant every day. I mean, I feel you because I I would forget too. Um, you can just keep the plant already kind of pulled away from the window. So it's not right up against the window, but rather maybe like 2 to 3 feet away from the window. Or I would say maybe have a white sheer curtain in front of the window and then have your plant right there. It can indeed now be right up against it, but it has that sheer window curtain in front of it, which is providing a little bit of a shield so that it's not so intense. In terms of the bleaching, the leaves won't go back, unfortunately. They won't grow back. But I mean, they're pretty resilient. So I would say you could cut the leaves back, pull it slightly away. I wouldn't water substantially if you're cutting like away a lot of the leaves. Um, but just give it like a good soak, and then just kind of wait for it to stimulate that new growth, because it's going to need some time to recover. Um, but yeah, it's just really strong light if it's getting bleached like that. So pull it away. They like light. So the thing is, African violets, they want light and they thrive in direct light. They like light and humidity. You don't want to don't mist your African violets. While they like humidity, they don't necessarily like to be misted. So the mist, they have very furry leaves. And so if you mist them and there isn't really good air circulation in your home, the water droplets just kind of get stuck in these little hairs with nowhere to go. Because it's if you're especially if your home is cool, like you have the AC on, there's no circulation whatsoever. It's That's where you kind of run into the problem there, where now it starts to rot your leaves out. Um, yeah, they do like bright light. It's just, yeah, southern or western light is a little too bright. Um, so I would say just pull it away from those windows, or if you want to have it up against the window, just put the curtain in front of it. So it's still the light's still going through, but it's just not so hard on the plant. Um, so I mean that would probably be the best option. Probably the easiest option would be with having the curtain in front of the plant. That would probably remedy a lot of it because now it can be right in your window and it has a shield and then you can cut it back and it should be good to go. But yeah, otherwise the only two options are either moving it slightly away from your window or or just having that curtain. That especially, yeah, if you have limited space, right? So you can't like, oh, let's just move it here. Um, yeah, that those would probably be the most two realistic options for the African violet. George, have you grown a monkey tail cactus? Oh, you're welcome, Roy. No, I want one. I have grown things like rat tail cactus and I grow like a lot of rainforest cacti, but I want monkey tail. That is one I really, really want. For folks that don't know, I've seen big ones. They're absolutely gorgeous. Let me share screen. They're really furry. So it's a cactus, but it's insanely furry. Um, and this is what it eventually ends up looking like. I mean, it's just so whimsical. I really love the look. Now, I know with these types of cacti, you just want to make sure that they're getting a really nice even amount of sunlight. You want to make sure you're rotating them because if you don't, they do start to taper at the end. So basically, they start to get like thinner, more scraggly at the end, and they don't maintain this really nice, consistent growth shape. Uh, but I love just how they look. I feel that it's just very animal-like. It really does look like a monkey's tail. It really gorgeous amount of whimsy in there. That is on my wish list. I would very much like to get one. They um they were I mean I haven't checked recently, but they up to up to recently they were pretty hefty for a basket. So I'm not sure if the prices are going down now. There was one at a local plant shop, but it wasn't a whole basket. It was just one. So I didn't grab that one because I said, no, I really want to wait to see if I find a basket that's worth picking up and just like taking the whole thing because it's so beautiful. Because yes, if you do buy one, you're only gonna have one. These are multiple cuttings that are planted in the same pot. So if you start with one, you're not necessarily going to be getting a lot. I mean, I think they do produce. I think they do produce pups, but um, it's nowhere like getting them all consistently the same size. So beautiful. Is this a pseudo ripsalis? I think this might be a pseudo ripsalis. Oh, which Hoya? Yeah, it's a ripsalis. I think it might be a pseudo ripsalis. Um, but they're called floriferous. I think it's floriferous cacti. So they're these types of cacti. I think it's floriferous, I want to say, cacti. There we go. That produce these really like gorgeous, like the jungle cacti. There we go. And so like Ripsalis, for instance, as pseudo Ripsalis too, they produce these little berries on their stems. Really beautiful. And so does pseudo Ripsalis. It does as well, right on the sides. Really, really pretty. Look at that. Yeah, they're super cool. They're super, super cool. So no, I haven't grown that one, but I would like to. I would very much like to. I like this YouTuber called Cactus Quest. If nobody's ever checked that out, if you're into succulents, check out that channel, Cactus Quest. They always do some really great videos on like different shops, like shopping tours and things like that. They take you to these really cool places where they have so many varieties, and it's always fun. It's just fun to pop that on and just relax and watch all these, gorgeous close-ups of different types of succulents. So highly recommend because it's super super nice, super nice. Wow. So George says I got one at Home Depot for 12.98 for a quarter. Oh, nice and full last fall in SoCal, trying to figure out how to find it does pop. Okay, great. Um, Yeah, so I mean, I know even light, they like to be on the drier side. So I mean, you make sure that that substrate is very airy. Um, those hairs can, for folks that don't know, those hairs can be irritating. Um, and but yeah, very airy substrate. And from what I've found with a lot of those cascading cacti, like a lot of the hanging cacti like that, they like to be drowned and then it's like drought and drowned. So a nice bottom water and then kind of forget about them for like 3 weeks, even 4 weeks. And then, until they're nice and bone dry and then giving them another watering. So that tends to work really well. Um, but Yeah, and then you want to make sure to rotate as well. You just want to keep it growing really consistently. Because again, if they start to lose that like strength and light, um, what ends up happening is they start to taper. They just kind of lose that really nice shape, and it becomes like super thin at the tip. Um, so you want to make sure to rotate and that you're keeping a nice consistent light. Um, yeah, because you don't, yeah, definitely don't want you to lose that, lose that because that's super cool. And I'm so glad that, yeah, I guess California, um, yeah, they grow like a lot. There's so many spots yeah, uh, in California that have like such a great like succulent community. So, yeah, unfortunately here in New York City, yeah, where I have never seen a full basket of monkey tails other than the like botanical garden, but not in a shop. Um, I would like to. And I mean I see right now even like dogtail cactus and stuff like that. They're still pretty expensive here. You're looking like maybe 40, $50 for a basket right now, at least where I've seen. Um, Yeah, and that's awesome. Altman. I wonder if they ship well. I, you're gonna have me looking now. I to see if I can ship it from SoCal. Terry, yes, another fun plant is the Senecio blue chalk. Yes, Senecio blue chalk, a really cool plant. Um, and I like the now I'm seeing so many more blue like right blue plants. I'm seeing a lot more blue plants and a lot more white plants. So there's the Senecio cocoon that I really like as well. Oh, it's a wholesaler. Oh, that's awesome. Um Senecio, I think it's cocoon. I think it's cocoon. Yeah, but I've been seeing so many more in shops and these too. I like these. Um, and and they're very, very soft. Super cool. Super, super cool looking. But yeah, the blue chalk, I really like that color. It's such a nice pop. And they do grow really well outside, but of course in areas that aren't gonna really go through that deep, deep freeze. Um, but they are super, super beautiful, really gorgeous. Um, that's so pretty. Oh, I love seeing these mixed with these guys. That's cool. With the cacti, they're just like engulfing the little cacti. That is cool. Um, but yeah, they just add such a vibrant pop of color. I really like that. There's so many really beautiful Senecio. Senecio is just such a cool family of plants. There are just so many varieties. Um, there's just so many. These are cool, right? The pickle plant as well for folks that might know them as the pickle plant is a Senecio. Just so that you know. Ah, yeah, and blue chalk is a common ground cover. Yep, I bet because it's gonna grow super super well in those types of regions. I really want to go to California. I've never gone like westish, like I think the farthest I've gone is Colorado, like in that direction. So, I really, really do want to go to California. I want to eventually maybe do like Nevada. I want to do Arizona. So I want to I want to see a desert. I've never seen an actual desert. Even when I went to Colorado, I was like more in the Denver area, and it was only for a few days. So we didn't go sightseeing. So I saw like some of the ridges from really far away, but I didn't actually go towards like a sandy landscape. I would really love to see that in person. Uh, but ooh, a big chalk stick. That's cool. And yeah, there are some species here that have been reclassified. I think that also happened with string of pearls, I believe, where they were a Senecio and then they switched them to Curio. So now I'm seeing Curio. So I'm wondering if they've also been reclassified. That is beautiful. Look at that. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, I love this that they give you a whole little breakdown. Yes, my climate may be my climate is too too cold to have this outside. Um, that is super cool. Oh yeah, definitely. Anita, I want to actually get I'm down to do that this year if they're available. I went back and I did not see them. We passed by Home Depot. But last summer I regretted not getting a tray. It was literally a tray full of sedums. It was just all different types of sedums. Really cool. And I think it was like $16 for the entire thing. And they're all like little like 1 inch plugs. And it was a tray. And I still regret not buying them. And because they were super cool. And I was like, damn, I should have picked that up. So I was trying to see if I can find them this year. And so far I haven't. Um, and so I just feel like if I ship them, they might not do very well because a lot of them have these really delicate leaves, and then they end up kind of coming, but all like broken. So I would rather try to find it in person. So I didn't try Lowe's. So I'm gonna see maybe this upcoming weekend swinging by Lowe's to see if they sell them by any chance. But I definitely want. It's just a whole thing of sedums, all different types. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. So I think I might do that if I can find them. But yeah, Monrovia. Oh gosh, this is gonna be you're sending me down another rabbit hole here. And I'm just gonna end up getting more. Um, oh, our I guess crime pays but botany doesn't has been in Texas. He keeps finding strange plants in the desert. Yeah, no, he's amazing. For those of you that don't know, crime pays but botany doesn't is hilarious. It's such a great. I'm part of his Patreon as well, so he does have a Patreon. He just makes these really amazing videos on YouTube about he just goes and does like walking, like he just walks around and does he records like all of these really interesting plants that he comes across, and it's really great if you're really kind of get want to get into some plant identification and see how the plants grow in their native habitats. What I really love though is that he also has a passion for geology. And so he really kind of goes in depth as well on the type of substrates that the plants are growing in, which I very much appreciate. I definitely I appreciate geology. It's not something I've ever like done really deep dive in, but I want to. So I really want to see if there's like an intro to geology or something being offered nearby where I can go and just learn a little bit more, because I would like to be able to apply it. One, learn the geology of here in New York City, because we I know we have tons of like bedrock, so things like what call it gneiss, and schist as well. So we have a lot, because I think we were on that glacial path. Um, and so there we have a lot of really cool rock formations and differences in terms of like different types of substrates occurring depending on the elevation and things like that. So I want to explore that a lot more, because that affects so much. It affects what type of plants grow in the area, even like the pH of the area. Um, I'm very curious about that, but I just haven't done a deep dive on it. But I want to see it. Maybe there's a book on the geology of New York, and then I can see if there's like a class being offered nearby, because I definitely want to explore that. But if that is sounds interesting to you, check out Crime Pays but Botany Doesn't on YouTube. Seriously amazing. Um, and so I guess a forewarning, just so that folks don't go in there blind. But he does use strong language, I'll say. So it's fun if you're an adult, of course, it's great. But if you want to watch something educational with like kids, maybe not. Um, but just so that you're warned, he's hilarious. He's incredibly intelligent, incredibly hilarious, but he does drop like F-bombs and things like that. And so I just want to make sure that I mention that, in case, folks are like, oh, that sounds so cool, and they want to watch things with their kids. Oh, Siri is telling me what time it is, but yeah, so check him out because it's really awesome. But with that, gosh, yeah, it's already 1:14. I have to hop off. I have a meeting at 1:30, but uh I'm gonna be planting plants. So I was thinking maybe later, I don't know, maybe on Facebook or something, maybe I'll go live or something like that as I'm planting these up in their pots. And so if anybody wants to join and just hang out and talk, so if anything, I'll post it in the group. If I'm going to be going live tonight or something. And yeah, and George, yeah, I'll do the soil class next week then, because I've already been preparing for it, and so it'll be a great, and yeah, it'll be same link here, so same link. But yeah, I'll just do a class on soil. And oh, and for the Facebook class, yeah, how to join. Yeah, I'm gonna put here, this is the Facebook group for anyone here in the chat who'd like to hang out. And then I'll post, because I think I really want to get these in soil tonight. I don't want them to dehydrate, because I think she pulled them out yesterday. So I don't want the roots to get drier than they are. So I'm gonna try to plant them up tonight. So yeah, so if you guys want to hop on, I'll post in the group that I'm gonna go live, and I mean I'm probably just gonna hang out there for a while. So you're more than welcome to come and hang out as well. And it's very informal. It's just just hanging out, and I can answer questions, of course, and all that jazz. In terms of what time. I'm gonna be working until like 7:30, 8 o'clock maybe. So I'm thinking maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock, something around that time. So Eastern. So I think so that would be 8:30, would be 4:30, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then I mean I have a lot. Like I have some plants too that I just need to like prune and remove stuff. So I can, try to do that tonight, and then that means I'll probably end up being on live for like 2 hours or something. So I'll be around. I'll be around. So I'll post it, and yeah. If that's the plan for tonight, if anything changes, then I'll post if anything changes. But yeah, I want to really get these into a mix. So I want to do that. I want to take care of that tonight. So yeah. So hang out to come and join. So I'm expecting like 8:30, 9 p.m. Eastern-ish. So yeah. But thanks so much for hopping on, everyone, and hanging out. I have so many cuttings to play with, so I'm pretty excited to undertake that. Oh, and what am I potting? Well, a bunch of succulents. I have all of these cuttings that I'm gonna have to pot up, and then I have some of my other succulents that so it's basically going to be a lot of succulents because that's what I'm going to be focusing on. But a lot of my like these are my euphorbia are needing to get upgraded. So this guy is in desperate need of an upgrade, and so I'm going to be upgrading some of my different types of succulents, and also potting up some of these propagations and getting those good to go. So yeah, so feel free to join in if you'd like. All right, but thanks so much, and sure, absolutely. If you'd like to promote it. Oh, I think I froze. Whoop, there we go. Whoop, I have no idea what is going on with the internet connection. I do not know, but yes, feel free to promote. Absolutely, and it's free, so it's just hang out, come talk about plants. So feel free to do so. Absolutely. And yeah, I hope you have a great one. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and enjoy the rest of your week. And yeah, I hope again that June is off to a good start. And yeah, I'll see you later, guys. Have a great one. See you next week too. Bye.